In this video, I just have a discussion with a friend of mine who's relatively new to the metaverse space. If you guys enjoy the video, please hit that like button and subscribe. It really does mean a lot. And I'll see you in the next video.
Do you guys what do you know about crypto and anything like that? Do you know
Yeah, I took a AP environmental science class back today. I know, so I took an AP computer science class.
Okay.
That's what, computer programming, not environmental science. AP computer programming, where we talked about a blockchain a little bit back in the day.
Okay.
And he was showing us Doge at like 0.00000.
Oh, if only.
Yeah, I know. I should have bought in. So there's three, I feel like, main divisions that you're in right now with it's like crypto coins, NFTs, and then the digital real estate. Is there anything else that I'm missing besides?
Yeah. So when you think of non-fungible tokens like NFTs, I'm sure you've seen the Bored Ape Yacht Club where that picture is going for 2.7 million, and you're just like looking at it like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is this? Okay. So,
a lot of hype.
So essentially what NFTs are, there's a misunderstanding of what they are. NFT is just the technology that allows me to own that picture, right? I don't give a shit about a two-dimensional picture of an ape. I hate that, right? But what I care about is the technology that allows me to own that. The digital ownership is a new concept because we don't have digital ownership on our phones. I don't own anything on my phone. When I go to Facebook, it's a centralized platform that controls everything, right? They can take my account. When I'm playing video games, if I buy a skin on Fortnite, they can take that skin at any time they want, right? But with blockchain technology, if Fortnite was built onto the blockchain, then I would be able to own that skin separate from Fortnite, right? So Fortnite would no longer be able to have control over my skin. And then with that being said, there's a secondary market for it, right? Because I could sell that with just a click of a button. Swapping digital assets is peer-to-peer, super quick.
So there, and me and Nate were just having a conversation about like having a hard wallet and a soft wallet. Are you able to download or put your digital real estate into a hard wallet of sorts?
No. So digital real estate, you can't really take off of platform, right? Because the utility that digital real estate has is built in whatever quote unquote metaverse it's in. So for instance, Upland is a metaverse that I'm involved in. And essentially it's a one-to-one replica of the earth, and they're selling real world addresses as digital real estate. So TJ owns his house. You can go in and buy land from New York, Manhattan, Chicago, like 18 different cities, right? And
you can get like terminals, right? Didn't you guys try to get a terminal?
Exactly. So the whole point, the reason digital real estate has value is, for instance, let's say in GTA, they put GTA onto the blockchain, and then they grid up GTA, and each nightclub or each cocaine lockup you buy in GTA is digital real estate, digital property that you can own. And so if you're in an immersive world where, let's say GTA, like online GTA, where you're walking around, everything in that economy or in that world is on the blockchain, is an NFT. You can't steal it, and exactly who owns it. And so if there's a lot of people playing the game, that stuff has value, right? So many people are spending hours and hours in GTA or in Fortnite that the game has value. So now imagine if the game that you're playing, instead of V-Bucks, but if V-Bucks was on the blockchain as a cryptocurrency, right? So instead of me spending $20 for a skin that honestly is just cosmetic and there's no utility, but let's say I purchased that $20 skin in Fortnite, and then I use that skin to play the game. And as I'm playing the game, I'm earning V-Bucks, but the V-Bucks is a cryptocurrency that actually has value that I can swap back into USDC. So you're basically going to be playing video games for money.
Right.
And that's basically what it is. So these metaverses, there's a shit ton of different metaverses, right?
Right. That was my answer.
Yeah. Everyone is creating their own. So Upland has a metaverse. TCG World has a metaverse.
Meta.
Exactly. Meta has it's called multiverse, right? Their metaverse is called multiverse. And the value it has is what people put into it. So let's say like Meta, I hate Meta, like I hate Facebook, so I literally don't know anything about the project because I've just avoided it whatsoever. Because have you seen Ready Player One?
Yep.
I think they're going to be the IOI.
Yeah. My sister is she just got promoted to like an L3 over there at Facebook. So
I'm sorry.
Meta.
I'm sorry. I take back what I just said.
No, but they're like hiring. She works in their like the HR department and like just dealing with like arranging like hiring and like doing the in that process. And they're focusing all like most of their hiring of like project managers and like TMPs, technical project managers. They're switching like all of that into like reality labs, which is their form of like virtual reality. They call it reality labs. So I would agree that Facebook is going to be shifting a lot of its attention into controlling that space because it's so new and there's so much money involved.
Well, yeah, and I mean, think about it. The technology of VR, like the VR technology and the haptic technology and like omnidirectional treadmills, we already have it all. It's already been invented. It's just a matter of integrating that technology with blockchain. Bam, we have the quote unquote metaverse.
Yeah. So back to the what we were talking about with like Upland and like all these different metaverses that are going to be created. What is going to bring like how is there going to be one main one that you want to buy or invest in property?
Yeah. So which one, basically, how do you know a good project from a bad project and which one's going to last? So that's again, it's the Wild West right now. That's the game. You want to figure out, we are so early to where, in 5 years, a lot of the metaverse projects we see now aren't going to be a thing. That's why it's really risky for a lot of people. But if you look at it, the reason I like Upland is not only because they're linked to real world addresses, but they're partnered with the NFL. The NFL has been, so
Upland is partnered with the NFL.
So all the players have like jerseys and caps sold as NFTs within the game that you can, trade and stuff like that, which is cool. And they're also partnering with some car brands as well, because they're bringing in like the whole racing aspect. But there's going to be different types of metaverses, right? So in Ready Player One, obviously there's a whole business side of it. Remember when Parzival went into the shop and bought the haptic suit and it showed up at his doorstep? Yep. That's going to be huge. It's a whole new type of marketing where you can link real world assets, the ownership of real world assets, to an NFT. It's just proof of ownership. So if let's say I'm walking down a virtual mall and I walk into a Target in the metaverse, right? I can go in and I can shop, and maybe some of the products that I'm purchasing are just for real world assets, but they're just display pieces, right? So the NFT is linked to a real world product. I put that in my cart, and when I purchase that, it gets delivered. But then as I'm shopping in the metaverse, maybe there's a sword that I like, or a sculpture that I like that is just metaverse only, right? And I'm like, oh, that's cool too. I want that. And the reason I would want a display piece in the metaverse is because once you spend so much time in the virtual world, our virtual lives, whether we like it or not, are becoming more and more valuable. And for some people, their virtual life is more valuable than their real life. Like, no one leaves the house without a phone. It's going to be the same thing where right now in society, wouldn't you agree that if you don't own a phone, you're at a disadvantage? If you don't have a smartphone, you're at a disadvantage in society.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's going to get to a point where
you're missing out on a lot of things.
Exactly. So I'd argue that soon it's going to get to a point where if your business is not integrated, has your foot in the door in Web3, or if your marketing strategy is not within the metaverse, or if your assets aren't linked to NFTs, then you're going to be at a disadvantage, and you'll probably just die. Your business will die. You need to adapt. So here's a bunch of different examples. Event tickets. Let's say I'm Justin Bieber or Snoop Dogg or whatever, and I hold a concert. What's really popular right now is if I release those event tickets, secondary people purchase them all up and then resell them for higher prices, right? One, it's unfortunate for my fans, right? Because then I can't control that. And two, I'm not making money on that secondary purchase. But with NFTs, you can actually put royalties in the smart contract. So if I sell some event tickets, every time one is resold to another person, so these people that buy up a shit ton of event tickets and then resell them on a secondary market, I'm making money because I put royalties. So if I get, maybe I get 5% of every single secondary transaction. And that's the case with anything that you link to anything that you link to NFTs. Even if it's just a gaming item that's resold, the person that made that item gets royalties. But real estate is going to be huge. If I link the ownership deeds for houses to real estate, not only do I get rid of escrow, because with smart contracts, I can build in escrow. So let's say I want to buy a house from you, right? There's that 30-day escrow period where, I have to put $5,000 down. You give the ownership deeds to somebody, I give them $5,000, and then that's third parties in charge. But no, with smart contracts, you send me that house, and if I don't give you payment within the 30 days, that NFT the ownership automatically reverts back to you because it's programmed within it. So third parties are going to be gone. But then also on top of that, let's say I build a house or even my own house, I link the real estate deeds to the NFT. I sell that house, I get my money, and then 10 years later, that house resells and I get 5% of that, or 4% or 3%, depending on how much royalties you put on it. That's going to be huge. It's massive. And it'll solve all the ownership disputes, because that's still a big thing. Oh, who actually owns the house, right? With blockchain technology, there will be no more disputes whether or not who owns the asset, because it's open source and you can't change it. It's indelible.
Right. It's programmed.
So many. And you can do that with Rolexes, right? Logan Paul, he just opened a Pokemon card box. That would have never happened if that Pokemon card crate was linked to an NFT for proof of ownership, right? So I would have been able to know exactly that was authentic if it was linked to an NFT. And that's proof of ownership is huge.
Yeah, that was a big oof when he opened that box, and it was the fraud cards.
Fat L.
How much did he spend on that? That was like
3.6 mil.
Yeah, and you've gotten into collecting as well, haven't you? With Pokemon cards.
Exactly, and that's one big thing that is going to be huge, is because of this whole idea of people making money on a secondary market. Now artists and creators will be incentivized to make their product or create art, whatever they create, scarce, right? Because if there's a higher secondary market, they're making more money. Big example: Disney, Coca-Cola, Universal. They're releasing NFTs on an app called Vivi, and they're purposely releasing small quantities because the secondary market it will be so hot, because everyone loves Disney, or a lot of people do like to collect Disney. But the secondary market is so hot, and then they get 7.5% on every single transaction. So it's incentivizing them to make their product scarce, and that's going to be across the board. Snoop Dogg is doing it with his music, right? That's really going to bolster the whole idea of collecting. Collecting is going to become a massive industry.
What is Snoop Dogg doing with his music?
Well, Snoop Dogg is kind of pioneering the whole music to NFTs industry. So he's releasing his music as NFTs. So if you want to listen to it, you'd have to purchase that NFT. And let's say you want to resell it, right? He gets royalties on that.
Okay.
It's so there's so much potential there that
it really is. There really is a lot of potential there, especially with and I feel like it's going to alter the whole market in terms of like the secondary market is going to be so much different since third parties can't come in and just be middle.
Exactly. And dude, think about it. There's going to be some sort of regulation, I think, but at its core, if a house is linked to an NFT, I can literally click a button, buy a house, and then click a button, sell a house. Click a button, buy a house, click a button, sell a house. Houses will be flipping like this. Yeah. So I'm sure there's going to be some sort of regulation there.
Yeah.
But secondary markets is going to be huge. And that's why I've been getting so into collecting, is because virtual collecting is going to be massive in every industry, because at the end of the day, no matter what you're hoarding, it's technically collecting.
Yeah. Agree with that. Yeah, that's crazy. So back to Upland. Do you think Upland is going to release a metaverse so that you can go and visit your actual property or real estate that you've invested in, or is it just going to be kind of like a Robin Hood almost?
No. So if you go on Upland right now, you can see the whole world mapped out, and you can go and property. And what's cool about these metaverse projects, and not all of them, but some of them, is they're selling the land, and it's up to the community to develop that land, right? If they're just selling plots of land, there's nothing built in Upland.
So it's not like a civilized, like exact copy.
No. They're just selling the plots of land.
There's no infrastructure built at all.
None. It's up to us to build. So here's another thing that's crazy. Virtual concerts. The #1 most attended concert in history was the Fortnite Ariana Grande concert.
Ariana Grande. I went to the Travis Scott one. That one was tight.
Yeah, but the Fortnite Ariana Grande's concert was the most attended concert in history. Now,
how many people were there?
Like well over a couple million.
Right. And you think you could like buy ticket? You're gonna have to buy tickets for these, or would it be?
So now imagine we have the stadium. We host Ariana Grande in our stadium, and so not only that's generating traffic to our city, right? But again, even if it's a small amount of money, that's the thing what people don't realize. Why would you pay for this? Why would you pay for that? Well, the metaverse isn't constrained to physical space, right? If I have a property, it doesn't matter how many people are there because it's intangible. It's intangible, right? So I could have millions and millions of people coming through my place because there's no restrictions on, amount of people that I can have, even if they're spending a couple cents, $1, right? That's just adding up.
Yep.
And we see how popular video games are. It's like it's foolish to think that the metaverse isn't going to be just more popular because it's going to be more immersive.
Yep. More immersive, and then it's going to be easier to have. I feel like
exactly
a lot of online learning and is going to transition. A lot of workrooms are going to be transitioning into it. I know Meta's already has their own like virtual reality workroom that they have, and that Bree uses sometimes just for like meetings.
Put on the Oculus and you're in a workroom, right?
So, and back to it, could you enter Upland using Oculus, or since Meta is going to have their own metaverse, are they going to be like weird, like is it going to be cross-platform?
So that's the thing. No one knows, right? So no one knows at this point. There's a few routes metaverses are going, and at the end goal obviously is virtual reality, virtual reality immersive. But a lot of these metaverses, it doesn't have to be virtual reality, right? Because I can do it on my computer, I can do it on my phone. It's just digital ownership. The immersivity, I don't expect the entire world to be locked in goggles, right? I don't. That would be because people are still going to live in the real world, hopefully. But a good population of them will be in virtual reality. Yeah. But then the others can still be involved in it, just on 2D. It's not going to be too different. I could still play the video.
Where does the value?
Neuralink?
Yeah, I mean Neuralink.
Yeah, that would be next level.
That would be next level. What were you saying?
Doesn't the value though come like the value in owning a property is the fact that you can go visit it in real life? Exactly. Or is it going to be the aspect of like trading? Is it going to be like more or like a entertainment?
No. So it's going to. I think it's going to be the immersivity, and so I do expect that Upland has said that they're going to go virtual reality, and a lot of these projects they don't have the technology side of it, right? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for, are they partnering with a technology company, right? So it's it's not unrealistic to think that Facebook could go in and just end up buying a bunch of different metaverses and controlling them all, which would stop.
Or integrating them all into one.
Exactly. That would be the hope. I mean, there's two ways I see this kind of going, right?
But then you're getting censored.
Exactly. That's the problem. The whole point is it's decentralization. So Facebook is in charge.
I know there's no way that Mark decentralizes everything. He'd like to centralize it.
No. So exactly, we're unbelievably early in the space right now. It's really hard to predict which metaverses are going to come out on top, and that's the reason I keep my specialties in a few locations, because it's like the AOL era. When the internet came out, AOL was massive, right? It blew up. We're in that stage. We're seeing all these companies blow up. 99% of the projects we see right now will not be a thing in 5 years. It's going to shift. It's going to change. So you got to stay on your toes. If you're going to invest in the space, you got to be somewhat involved. Be like, okay, I see this market changing. This is dying down. The hype is going here. You got to stay on your toes. But again, Facebook is probably a pretty safe investment because it's Facebook.
Yeah. And is Facebook, do they have the premier technology right now in terms of like virtual reality?
Well, so there's, Facebook.
HTC Vive. Is HTC Vive still a thing?
Or HTC Vive? I've never heard of it.
The Vive. Okay. That was a virtual reality.
I know VirtuX Omni. I really like VirtuX Omni. I'm curious to see what they do with blockchain integration, because what they have is they already have an omnidirectional treadmill with like a suit and a standalone VR console that you can buy for like $1,900 and put it in your house. And they got some pretty cool technology there. But it's just they don't have blockchain integrated with that. Facebook is the only company right now that has blockchain and virtual reality integrated, which is they're leading the space.
Yep. So back to NFTs for a second with Vivi. Is Vivi also expected to be able to integrate into virtual reality so that you can put on, TJ can throw on his Christmas Deadpool skin?
Well, so the whole point of NFTs and non-fungible tokens is that they are once I own them, they're separate from Vivi, right? So there's gonna be the land, the digital real estate. I won't be able to take off platform because that's digital real estate. But Vivi, what they do is they release collectibles, they release statues, they release comic books. The theory is, and we're not there yet because Vivi's been a little slow, is that I could take them off the Vivi platform and bring them to a different metaverse. So if I'm in Upland and I have my house built in Nashville and Upland, I want to be able to take my Disney Golden Moment statues from Vivi, take them off the platform, put them in. I should be able to sell them on Upland. I should be able to display them in Upland and use them in Upland. And that's the whole point, is that NFTs are not attached to the project they're involved in. They're separate entities. I should be able to take them off platform and bring them to a different.
They're attached to the blockchain.
Exactly.
Through
their
Ethereum?
respective blockchain.
Yeah. So a big one would be like through Ethereum, because Ethereum has
a lot of
like a unique aspect to it.
Meta would probably be building theirs on Ethereum, if anything, but they're probably building their own blockchain in the background, I assume.
Right. I don't know too much about Meta. I've been avoiding it because I really don't want them to win.
But yeah, so I have those two comic books in VV, and the thought is in the future that I could take those comic books and put them somewhere else.
Yeah, so
because I own them.
I have a few. VV, unfortunately, when you own that comic book, you only own the front page, right? You own the cover. The readability of that comic the utility of that is provided from VV. So the NFT itself is just the cover. The contents of it is the utility provided by VV. So if I were to take that asset off of VV, I would no longer be able to read it. I would just own the cover. But if I put it back onto VV, I'd be able to read it. So Metaverse is kind of, exactly. Metaverses will do that in order to keep them on their Metaverse. Exactly.
That's just for now, though, because in 5 years, Metaverses won't be able to stay like that, or else they'll get beat out by someone else, in my opinion, because if they're not willing to be cross-compatible, they'll die off.
I agree.
Yeah, that's just like one fear would just be like what Microsoft has done with like Halo and stuff, where they kind of like keep it on their platform.
Now you were talking about Facebook and stuff. If anyone comes out with like the big bad everything, I bet Microsoft will be the one to bring the tech out, because they have the infrastructure to release tech to the whole world in one go, just like they did with the computers back in the 80s, 90s. They were the first ones to be able to actually mass produce the tech and get it out. And so I assume, even though Meta has their like Oculus and stuff, they still don't have mass production capability as good as Microsoft. So like
Microsoft has experience with Xbox, with all the Dells.
Exactly. It's more, but it only takes like some nerd programmer from India, like 12-year-old, to create the next best thing, That's what it really takes.
Damn, boys, are you gonna start buying real estate in the Bay? Or what are like areas that make you that are more attractive if there's no existing infrastructure?
And digital real estate? Exactly. Yeah. Since there's no existing so for Upland, right, it's linked to real world addresses. So I look for celebrities' houses, right? Because it's like buying their domains. So I bought Stan Lee's house.
Copped.
I copped Stan Lee's house.
How much are like these houses, if you don't mind?
So Upland. Wait, okay. Here's another crazy fact. So the Ethereum blockchain. I don't like it. It was first, but it's inefficient. It does I think 10, 15 transactions per second, which is super slow. So the gas fees are super high. So every time I'm doing a transaction on Ethereum, I'm paying like $60 for no goddamn reason. Right.
Just to use it, it's like basically using like PayPal, but PayPal charges you $60.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed.
Exactly. Ethereum's terrible, but it was first, right? So it blew up in popularity. But so Decentraland and Sandbox are two metaverses that are actual metaverses. You can go in and play everything, and there's on the blockchain,
and it's just all open world.
Yeah, and the entry price on those projects to get a plot of land is like 10 grand, right? Not feasible for the average user. Upland, what they do is they release starter cities. They have FSA, so if you have less than $100 in the game, you can get property for $2 to $4. But then they also sell in like downtown LA. Properties are like $80, $90. So it just really depends. But I've seen secondary market, like the Eiffel Tower, for instance. If they were to sell the Eiffel Tower, that would probably go for 50, 60 grand.
The property where the Eiffel Tower sits.
Exactly.
Right? There is no Eiffel Tower there.
No Eiffel Tower built. Exactly.
Dang.
But then like TCG World, the entry price is one B&B, which is like $430.
It's manifest digital space. This land's only being released one time. Same like the real world land. It's one and done.
But the tricky part is that there is going to be different worlds.
Yes.
So
100%.
Selecting which one that you want to buy is
100%. But I think Upland will still be there.
Because with so again, since it's a virtual space, there is no limits to what you can do. So there's going to be some gaming metaverses where it's all based in space and on planets, right? But then there's going to be the whole business side where I want to do my digital shopping. I want to do my business. I want to do my, I'm walking down the street, advertising, all that. I think that's what Upland is going to be, since it's linked to real world addresses and they're not providing any utility in the game that's not realistic, right? There's no crazy flying mechanics. There's no crazy all this stuff. It's basically just a digital world that's exactly like Earth. And so I've pictured that as the business metaverse where people are going to go in if you want to shop, if you want to do all that stuff. And then these other metaverses that are gamified, where there's gaming involved, they also have value as well. Because if I want to go play World of Warcraft, obviously there's going to be value in that real estate. So it's basically, I do think Upland does have long-term. I think it's going to stay long-term. I really do.
And VV is still just like an early Robinhood in NFT space.
Well, so what VV is it's kind of like an OpenSea. It's just a marketplace where NFTs are sold, right?
Right. Yeah. It's like Robinhood, basically. Right?
Exactly. Kind of where like stocks are sold, NFTs are just sold. Like, do you know what OpenSea is?
I don't know what OpenSea is.
Okay, OpenSea is the biggest NFT marketplace on Ethereum blockchain.
Okay.
So that is. Yeah, it's just a marketplace.
And you use Ethereum
to purchase it, right? You
can use Matic too.
And that's where the Bored Apes are all on.
Yeah, so if I wanted to make my own NFT, I could go onto OpenSea and mint my NFT there and sell it on OpenSea. I can't do that on VV because it's premium digital collectibles, only big brands and big IPs like Disney, Coca-Cola, Ghostbusters, or whatever. Only those kinds of IPs can sell their product there. But there's a bunch of different just like there's a bunch of different types of stores in the real world, like how there's Macy's, Target, all this other stuff. There's going to be a bunch of different types of virtual marketplaces that all sell different types of product.